Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1705, and today's date is November 1st, 2018, and the title of the episode is, Don't You Love It When a Plan Comes Together? We Are on Track. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk to all the Trump supporters. Noble Gold has just released a 24-karat solid gold commemorative Trump 2020 Freedom Coin, and it's bound to be a collector's piece in years to come. If you know of Noble Gold, you know about the silver version of this coin. I discussed it before, and you found that on TrumpCoin2020.com. But here's the thing. The silver one has been so popular that Noble Gold was actually asked by their clients if there was a gold one. The demand for these has been staggering, and I have to tell you, there's now a waiting list for them. Now, I can read all the different stuff here about it, but it's better if you actually look at it. And if you're a Trump supporter and you want to own one of these, forget about the investment value. Right now, if you get on their waiting list, they are currently discounting the coin over $50 per coin, which is an incredible savings for this commemorative coin. So to get on the waiting list and reserve yours, go to TrumpCoin2020.com to secure your coin. The link is at the bottom of this video. To make it a lot easier, all you have to do is click on it. So get on the waiting list. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we keep hearing about the plan, trust the plan, and we haven't heard from Q in many days, and people are calling this the days of darkness. And we need to remember that Q has been sending us messages. First of all, if we go back to the beginning when Q first started to feed us breadcrumbs, Q mentioned the central bank, which we'll get to in just a minute, mentioned that the central bank was targeted. And we need to remember that going back to 1913, this is when everything started with the central bank, and it got worse as time went on, and especially in the 70s when we came off the gold standard. Since the inception of the central bank, what has happened here in the U.S.? The dollar has lost its value. Remember, this is not the people's dollar. This is a Federal Reserve note. Not backed by anything, created out of thin air. And it has lost about 97 to 98% of its value. That has a huge impact on the everyday person who is trying to make ends meet. Yes, there's going to be those people that have a much, much more difficult time, and you're going to have a very small percentage, that's why they call them the 1%ers, that really know how to manipulate the system because a lot of times they have insider information. What we're seeing right now is a complete and utter destruction of the everyday person. Now, there was a new study that was just released, and it says that 62% of all jobs in the United States do not pay enough to support a middle-class life. Now, we know this. We've been looking at the wages. They are stagnant. Now, remember, in the beginning of a central bank system back in the 70s, everything's fantastic. There's hardly any debt. There's a huge amount of inflation, and they create a lot of currency, and everything goes up. Your wages go up. The price of your home goes up. Everything just moves up, and everyone feels great. Wow, I was making $5,000 a year, last year. 2 years later, now I'm making $10,000, and that's without raises. That's just the adjustment. But today, we're on the back end. The American dream is truly out of reach for most of the country at this point. Americans are working harder than ever before, but the cost of living continues to rise. Now, before, the cost of living was rising with your wages. Today, the cost of living is rising, and your wages are either flat or they're declining. A very big difference. 50% of all American workers make less than $30,000 a year. That's just above poverty level. In fact, the federal poverty level for a family of 5 is currently $29,420. Most families are just barely scraping by from month to month, and most U.S. workers are just one major setback away from falling out of the middle class. It wasn't always this way. We need to remember this. A lot of people forgot. If we go back in time, it used to be a lot better. Actually, if we go back in time before the central bank, it was incredible. And since the central bank, everything has just gotten worse as time goes on. Here are some more facts about jobs. 30% of jobs are hardship jobs, meaning they don't allow a single adult to make ends meet. 32% are living wage jobs, enough to get by, but not to take a vacation, save for retirement, or live in a moderately priced home. 23% are middle-class jobs, allowing for dining out, modest vacations, and putting some money away for retirement. 15% are professional jobs, paving the way for more comfortable life that includes more elaborate vacations and entertainment and a more expensive home. And since the central bank was implemented, everything has gotten worse. If we play this out for more years, past where we are today, it's just going to get a lot worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And for most Americans, since the last recession, that recession never ended for them. They were never able to get back to where they were. Yes, they were able to do without, so they can live, but they never got back to where they were. Now, we're seeing the entire economic system deteriorate very, very quickly. We're seeing homes. They're declining very rapidly. We talked about the housing bubbles before. Now, this has nothing to do with, look what Trump's doing. Look what, the past presidents have done. Yes, they're partially to blame, but it's the central bank system. The central bank system does not work. It's not designed to work. It's only designed to put countries into debt and make those at the top very, very wealthy. Those at the top to have control. That's what it's designed for. And what we're seeing right now is the destruction of the central banking system. And a lot of people are feeling it. And as we move forward right now with the Fed raising rates, things are going to break apart and break down very, very rapidly. In San Diego right now, home sales have collapsed by 17.5% to the lowest level in 11 years. This is coming from CoreLogic now. They're looking at this stuff going, wow, things have rapidly changed. This is unbelievable. In September, there were 2,942 homes that were sold in the county, down from 3,568 sales last year. So when we look at this, we can see that San Diego's in trouble. This is just the beginning. This is going to spread like wildfire to every single city. Think about this for a second. Back in 2007, right before the stock market came down, before anyone really knew what was going on, there were only 2,152 homes sold in September of 2007, compared to September of this year, which is 2,942 homes. Back then, we were in a recession. What are we in now? If this number drops to where it was in 2007, wouldn't you say we're in a recession already? Yes, we are. And we need to remember something very, very important here. The central bank system was never designed to go this far. The central bank system was only designed to go to a certain point, and they knew it was going to break down. They knew it was going to collapse, and they had to plan for an event to cover it all up. They don't have that right now. So the plan now, since Trump got into office, and there are certain people working with him, it's to bring down the entire system. It's to bring down the central bank. And you say, well, how do you know this? Well, you're just making this up. How do you know this is the plan? Q has already told us this. Q has already said what they were going to do. Now, remember when Trump was out there and he was saying that, God, I wish I can fire Sessions. I wish I can get rid of Sessions. He's not really doing his job. That was a strategy that he used to get the mainstream media, the deep state, to back Sessions. No, don't fire Sessions. We like him there. He's doing the same thing with Powell right now. He continually contradicts Powell. He says, I would like to get rid of Powell. I'd like to replace Powell, but I'm not going to do it right now. And what we're seeing right now is we're seeing the mainstream media. They are now backing Powell. Now, this is exactly what Trump wants. He wants them to back Powell. Why? Because when the system comes down, he can say, well, you wanted him to do this. You were backing him. The entire time, I was telling you this was not good for the economy. If you look at CNBC, Fed Chair Powell won't be manipulated by Trump, an analyst says. If you look at the Washington Post, as Trump showers fire on U.S. Central Bank, Fed Chair Powell builds GOP support. Why Trump can't fire Powell for disagreement over monetary policy. That's coming from MarketWatch. CNN Politics, he feels frustrated why Trump scapegoats the Fed. He's using the same exact strategy that he used before. They are all now backing Powell. He wants this to happen this way because he needs to turn around and show them that you decided to back the Fed that brought down the economy. They're playing right into his hands. Now, how do we know this? Let's go back to post 138. Now, back then, this was November 11th, 2017. Q mentioned many different banks: Poland National Bank, Portugal Bank, Qatar, Romania, Russia, Serbia, United States, UK, you name it, it's on this list. Q also says the Fed and the IRS. Fact: U.S. Federal Reserve is a privately owned company sitting on its very own patch of land, immune to the U.S. laws. Right here, Q is telling us that they are targeting the central bank. How do we know this? From all the banks that are listed here, what are they? They are a list of Rothschild-owned banks. The Fed is independent. The Fed is on privately owned land. The Fed is a privately owned company, immune to U.S. laws, immune to other countries' laws, immune to everything. Q is pointing out that we need to get rid of a system that does not benefit the people of the United States. The central bank is our number one enemy. The central bank is the cause of most everything that we see today. And you say, well, how can that be? How is the central bank responsible? They put countries into debt. They control countries through debt. Through debt, you can make countries do whatever you want. Push any agenda you want. And guess what? The central banker, they're unelected leaders. So if they have control over debt, over the country, over the people, who's really calling the shots? And if things don't go their way, what do? They tell the countries, listen, we need to start wars. We need to do something. We need to cover up what is coming. Now, of course, I'm not going to say this in so many words, but this is the type of control they have. And Q has been telling us that they are targeted. And if you look at the picture with Trump, that's why Andrew Jackson's hanging on the wall in the White House. This is the plan. The plan is coming together. It is working. They have everyone backing Powell. Actually, there was an interview with Trump's top economic advisor, Larry Kudlow. And he said that Trump hasn't been seeking to replace Powell. He would like to get rid of him, but right now he's going to keep him. Trump is not going to disrupt the Fed's independence. He wants the Fed right now to do what they are doing. He's not going to disrupt them. He's going to allow them to destroy themselves. And all those people backing the Fed, backing what they're doing, the mainstream media, the deep state, and the rest, they are going to look like fools. Because when he comes out and he says, look what happened here, the entire economic system came down, and he let us know who's going to be responsible for that, he can point the finger. He can point the finger at those people that were backing him. Those people will understand who was backing them. Why were they backing them? These are going to be all the questions that are going to be answered at that time. The entire plan is moving forward. It's one step at a time. You need to set it up. to get the maximum results. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.